Yeah, I mean, what's it like to lead a big team on a mission like this, or in business, or whatever? I mean, it's daunting, it's scary, it's hard, and it's interesting that, you know, I think a lot of people are looking from the outside at someone like Stephen, who's led a business and a large team for so long, and they probably think, well, you know, he's just got it all figured out and it's easy for him, and they probably look at me and they might think the same thing when we go out here on the rock course. Oh, Chad's done this all the time, he's got this. And it's like, no, man, the burden is always there. It's a tremendous responsibility.
Yeah.
And you have to take it seriously every single time. And it really never gets easier, right? Because there's always something to improve on. As a leader, once you master certain aspects of leadership, there's always something else that you can improve on in order to inspire your people, or to become more efficient, or to be a better communicator, whatever piece of it is. And I think another thing for me with leadership is, we heard it in the brief there, leading by example in all situations. And so, you know, for me to be able to conduct a mission like this, I have the responsibility to also do hard things on my own time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so this year for me, it was the Colorado Trail Race, which was a 570-something mile trail race through the Rocky Mountains there in Colorado. I wound up in the hospital on day 3. And ended up pushing through and finishing it completely unsupported for 10 days. And, you know, I have to do those things. It was miserable. I mean, it was miserable, 10 days, man. And, but like I couldn't stand before this team here today and ask them to do what I'm about to ask them to do, unless I've done something equal to it or even harder than it.
Exactly. It keeps you sharp.
Yeah, it keeps you sharp, man.
Yeah.
What do you got to say, Steve?
No, it's like I and you, we bear the burden. Like, we're hosting the event, we're plugged in with you, so you have to deliver for us. I have to deliver for my team. How do we commingle those things, right? And then it's the same thing. Like, I have to make sure stuff's on point. Like, if I told you the day before I flew out all the stuff, that the adversity that comes against you, and you know, it's like it's the phone calls, it's this person, we still have to manage life.
Yeah.
And people will look at you, and people will look at myself, and they're like, oh, he's got it all figured out. And you're like, you know, Navy SEAL, pinnacle of like of life. That's how we look at you, right? And then you look at me and go, oh, father, 4 kids, oh, it must be nice having that. And there's this balance back and forth of, you know, going from being a Navy SEAL to being a husband. Don't talk about anything. How do I have a conversation with my wife when for the last 12 years I can't say anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a delicate balance. And while I'm looking at you that way, you probably look at me in certain ways that way. And
100%.
I think the best way to get through it is to just continue to do the hard stuff. Like, there's no skating through this. You're going through it, I'm going through it. I have to deliver, you have to deliver. When you pulled me aside last year, those are probably the most powerful words. I already knew them going in, but hearing them from you, I'm like, okay, well, he's got his eye on me to perform because they're expecting me to perform right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's how we get better, man. It's that's really the best way to. There's a lot of conversation around becoming a better leader and improving your leadership skills, and you know, man, you can only get so much from a speaking engagement, right?
Yeah.
You can only get so much from a call. I mean, you can get things from that, but man, when you come together and you surround yourself with other leaders doing something really difficult that requires you to actually practice your trade as a leader,
You got to show up.
And man, that's really where the substantial growth comes from. You know?
A lot of people ask me why I continue to do all this stuff, and I'm like, this is why I stay sharp.
100%.
You got to continue to push it. And I ask myself, you know, like, why do you do what you just did? you know, with the Colorado Trail, and like watching you and James do all these crazy things. In my eyes, they're crazy, right? But that's how you're able to expand yourself so much, you know, so that this is easy,
Yeah.
right? When
Yeah.
you expand yourself and you put yourself back in the grinder, you come back stronger, right? God just put you back together in a much stronger way,
100%.
you know, and that's, yeah. So like, I mean, if we got, how old's Tom? 57?
57.
Yeah, 57 years old. So I got 10 more years of this at least, at a minimum. You got a long time.
Yeah. Your training is never complete.
No,
for sure.
no, and just to talk about my dad a little bit, like the guy's 73 years old, he shows up for work every single day. He doesn't need to. I tell him to stay home. He says, what do you want, your mother to kill me? I'm like, no. He's like, I'd rather go to work, you know, but here's a guy who's put in the hours and knows that's just how he's built. Like he's showing up every day.
Yeah,
Showing
yeah.
up every day. So I'm sure like you've seen that with your mom and dad, you know,
Yeah.
that probably pushes you through, because we learn by modeling, and you had to have seen it from somewhere. Cornbread probably too is right.
Yeah. And guys that I served with, obviously in the
Yeah.
Navy. Yeah, man. I mean, I owe everything that I know about how to be a mentor and be a teacher and be a leader. I owe all of that to people who were mentors and teachers and leaders to me along the way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. And you never know where those people are going to show up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a more valuable thing in life than a good mentor.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have them.
Yeah.
And you can't just wait for them to come along and pop into your life either. Like you have to seek them out.
Exactly.
You have to find them.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to put yourself in places where you expect you're going to meet people like that,
Yeah.
and then you have to engage in conversation with them.
As much as I'm sure when you're doing all this and speaking, you probably want to just be like, oh, can I just go find a nice little cave to just be by myself with the chickens and the goats, and just, you know, and that's what happens. You go speak on stage, you're in front of all these people, and then you go back to, you have a retreat at home.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that's, you know, you start to understand why people that are in the limelight want that isolation and quiet, because
You have to have a period of rest.
Yeah, you need it. It was,
Yeah.
you talked about it before. You can't always go from peak to peak to peak.
You can't, man.
The valleys are necessary in order to have, you know, that's where you kind of figure some stuff out down
Yeah,
there
man.
too. So,
For sure.
And
For
it's the
sure.
body and the brain and the unconscious mind seeking equilibrium. It just can't always be wins. You know.
No, it can't be on Instagram.
No, well, of course it can be. You know, that's where all the good stuff shows up.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
But like, and that's the stuff like nobody gets to see. You know, if Brooke was here and Allison were here, they would tell the real story of us.
Oh, yeah.
They would tell the real story of us, like behind the scenes. Like, yeah, he's not always pushing through. You know. Yeah.
For sure. I've been many times I've wanted to quit.
Oh yeah.
Many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Listen, I appreciate.
Thank you,
And I'm
man.
looking forward to tomorrow.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Go
That's
get
it.
some rest.
That's all. Tonight's we're gonna rest up. Nice.
Yeah.